So today I will begin with the debate whether management is an art or a science. We have all studied science, physics, chemistry, and mathematics. You know, they are highly precise. You know, an equation will be true in India also, and equation will be true in USA also. Same thing. You know, an atom would behave the same way in India, an atom would behave the same way in USA. So that's the thing. So these are referred to as hard sciences. So here, for example, in engineering, you say that this will be the torque and this will be the power and this will be the cylinder size. So that can be very, precisely specified. But in management, if some theory is applicable in Japan, then that theory is not applicable in India. So I'll just take an example. You know, we had theories of motivation. In olden days, theory X was popular. Theory X, they said that you crack the whip. And treat employees as slaves. Then only they will work because they will try to avoid pain. People try to avoid pain. And that's why they work. This was the theory of motivation, which is quite well known in the past. And then it was also associated with lot of industrial unrest. Then David McGregor came up with theory Y of motivation. He said people are responsible. Any problem? Any problem?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So David McGregor said that he proposed the theory Y of motivation, and he said that okay, people come to organizations, but at home they behave responsibly because at home they are parents, sisters, mothers, sons, and all that. At workplaces we treat them as slaves. But at home, they behave responsibly. as parents, brothers, and sisters, and so on. So he said that let us give some respect to employees, treat them with responsibility, and involve them in our decision making so that they understand the logic why we are telling them to do particular thing. So he said that workers' participation is important. This is what he proposed, and it was found that once this theory Y was proposed, there was a great reduction in industrial unrest. And when this theory was introduced, hello? Hello? Ah. So when this theory was introduced, it led to and it caught the imagination of management that theory Y is superior to theory X. But in HBR, such as Harvard Business Review journal, many articles have appeared that if you involve workers in your decision making and consult them, they need not necessarily work. Okay, and they have some research papers in reputed journals like HBR, Harvard Business Review have concluded that theory Y doesn't work in certain conditions. And therefore, we need to go back to idiots. Now, Japanese have come up with a theory Z. They got one step beyond theory Y. Theory Z. Okay. Here they said that we will empower employees and employees will make decisions, bring about improvement. For example, this system was implemented in Toyota, where a worker brings in 200 improvements per day. So that is the kind of responsibility which the workers exhibit in Japan. But people have argued this was tried in Toyota. This works tried successfully in Toyota. And here, I mean, you must have heard about JIT. It is part of JIT. GIT or just-in-time systems. You must have heard about it somewhere. And here workers have the power to stop the machine. And as soon as the machine is stopped, all the workers will converge on that problem machine and solve the problem. Workers have power to stop the machine. And then all workers converge on this problem machine and get the problem solved. So this is the highest theory of motivation, which is known as empowerment. But people have found that this theory set doesn't work in India. Authorities have said that. Those who have work experience can very easily appreciate that if you give the decision making to workers in India, he will shut down the machine and go to sleep. He exhibits that level of irresponsibility sometimes because his education level is not that high and so on and so forth. So that is the point here. An atom will behave the same way in Japan, India, and USA, but people won't behave the same way in Japan, India, and USA. There's so many reasons for that. So that is the sort of bottom line, and therefore it is suggested that we should not import solutions from other cultures. The reason why people don't behave the same way is that culture is different. We are going to study culture in substantial detail in this course as we relate it to strategy. Culture is different, personality is different. So that is the reason. So that is why management remains an art. So how this progress has been made. You will suddenly ask me question, but let me please hold back your questions. I'm coming to that. In management there are two streams of thought. One is a prescriptive approach. and other is contingency approach. Prescriptive approach says that what should be done. What should be done. It will prescribe exactly. For example, the scientist will say that use 10 ml of hydrochloric acid and things will be all right. You know? So that's a prescription. But a management will say that, okay, theories and all that are fine, but you apply your mind to a given situation and then take an appropriate decision. So contingency approach says the theories are fine, but depending on the situation, you alter the theories, alter the prescription given, and make changes. By properly analyzing the given situation on hand. Okay. So these are the two approaches, and you will find that there is a journal called ASQ in management, Administrative Science Quarterly. And there is a journal called Harvard Business Review. And these two these two journals have radically different approaches. The ASQ takes an prescriptive approach, whereas Harvard Business Review takes a contingency approach. Whereby it is said that it all depends, nothing can be prescribed beforehand. So theories are, and so these ASQ people will develop theories. ASQ people will do theories or prescriptions. And HBR people will give an example where this theory doesn't work. And nothing can be said that one approach is superior to another. Nothing can be said like that. None of the approaches are superior. But they are treated as complementary. So what will happen is ASQ people give a theory, then HBR people will bring out a counter example where this theory doesn't work. So then ASQ people will, ponder over this counter example and come up with a new theory. Then HBR people will again come up with a counter example where it doesn't work. And this nice academic interplay will keep happening. And as a result of which, management was maybe 100% art in 1960s. But if I were to give some kind of a percentage, I may say now that the management is 50% of art and 50% of it is science. Okay? Because of this nice interplay between two streams of the thought that is being interacting in the management literature. That is the prescriptive approachers and contingency theory specialists. So these are the two streams of thought. Now what I will do is, for example, if one has to design a shaft, motor shaft, it is a hard science. But if you have to do interior design, it is a soft science. So management is also a science, but people say it's a soft science. And here what matters is, you must have heard many times that you need what is known as the soft skills. So designing a shaft or designing a chip, I understand there is an electronics background student also. So designing an electronic chip might be a hard science, but interior design would be a soft science. Meaning thereby that it's an imprecise science. It's a science. There is some kind of a logic behind every statement that is being made. There is some kind of an argument and theory behind it, but it is relatively imprecise for the reason that the culture is different, personalities are different, structures are different, maybe the business conditions are different. Because of these differences, a wholesale generalization is not possible in soft sciences. Now, I will take to close this particular uh, stream of thought. Let me close by taking an example. For example, there are 4 P's. So, as of now, product design, new product design, it's a soft science. The other P, pricing, maybe is more towards a hard science. You can very easily predict if the person is having an appropriate, because we have nowadays, there are, sort of so many in the e-world, we have all the credit card and UPI payment history, so that we know how much is the paying capacity of for people around in your society where you are doing business. And we have a better hang of it now, that if you price it at this level, this would be the demand. It has become more of a hard science, if not exactly a hard science. Then promotion. Earlier, it was a soft science. People used to make a statement about promotion or advertising, that advertising expense is 50% of advertising expense is a waste. Or rather, I like to make a statement that half of advertising expense is waste, but you do not know which half. So from that scenario, promotion has come a long way, and promotion has become a soft science. A promotion has become a hard science. We can give tailor-made messages in the e-world to your customer that appeals to him, and then he's induced to purchase a product. Messaging and everything, advertising has become automated. And for example, the last P, physical distribution, is a hard science because it's an optimizing problem. We can submit it to a solver and know where the cost is minimum or which distribution will have a maximum service level and so on. So it is more of a hard science. I will close this discussion by making a statement that more research in management from 60s to 2020s, about 60 years, management has moved from art. Therefore, you will find that there are many journals which have the title management science. That is because so much research has been done, and many of these unknown topics, many of these unknown areas have been brought into your knowledge, and management has moved from art to science. Okay. So if there is a question asked in say exam, that is management an art or a science, I will expect you to give a summary of this word file, which I'll be transferring it to you at the end of the class. So that completes the first part of the lecture. The second part is objectives. Second part is objectives. Now, one of my PhD students has identified a paper where he has identified something like 150 objectives that organizations pursue. And most important ones are, you know, maximize profit, minimize cost, maximize sales, or you may say that when there is uncertainty, when there is a lot of uncertainty and there are problems, that the things are rapidly changing, then in such a situation, you may like to minimize the maximum loss. We'll make a decision which will like to minimize the maximum loss, or you may like to maximize the minimum profit. So these are the different objectives which organizations pursue. For example, in a recent condition, there is these online retailers such as Flipkart and Amazon. There's a fight going on for a long period of time. Okay? And there was a scenario that the prices fell so low that people wanted to capture market share, or rather, maximize sales, and the objective was maximize market share. They said that let us capture the market share, and once we win the customer loyalty, then we will make the profit. As a result of time, there was a time when Amazon India made a huge loss of 25,000 crores. And the beauty is objectives keep changing over a period of time. Okay? Objectives keep changing over a period of time. You must have heard the story of Akbar and Birbal. So they entered into an argument, and then they said that for mother, child's life is more important. So Birbal countered this, and to prove this, he created a big house or a big tank, and in the center there was a big pole, and put a monkey and a kid in that pole, and started pouring water inside that tank. And as the water level was not that high, the mother monkey kept the child monkey at the top and saved her life. But as the water level started going up and up, and her life was threatened, she put the baby down and she was up. Okay? So that's an interesting story which says that objectives keep changing over a period of time. So things are, objectives in dynamic conditions keep changing. And that makes the field of management most interesting. It is said that objectives should make sense to people. Objectives must inspire people. I always quote Sir Barnard, who said that intellectual understanding of objectives paralyzing, and to be effective, employees Employees must believe in them. Then only there will be maximum effectiveness. For example, I am quoting an example. This you can relate it to your private, experience that you are having with the companies. For example, there is a company like Hindustan Lever, whose objective is to make profit. And if it hires a person who has a leftist orientation, who believes that workers are being exploited and they should be paid more and all that, he will not fit into this. You know, so typically one should ensure that the objectives of organization and objectives of employees should be as similar as possible. If somebody says that you keep माला को जपने से फायदा होगा, a young person cannot understand this, and he will find it meaningless to do this. For this you need that kind of an experience and become a 65 or 70-year-old person like me to realize the value of that, and then you will start believing in it. So until and unless you believe in those objectives, then only you will give in your 100%. Otherwise, it will be merely paralyzing, and the organization will not be able to function to its 100%. And now I will get down to what is known as hierarchy of objectives. Or let me sort of keep this file hidden for some time, and let me open a PPT on objectives. Some authors have said that objectives are negotiated settlement among different stakeholders of a firm.
Sir, sorry, sir. Sir, can you tell us these objectives are for what?
Whose objectives meaning?
These objectives, what you are discussing, for which these objectives you are giving, sir?
No, there are, see, but for example, in the last class, I gave an example of a stone. And
Yes, sir.
said that the organization objectives are different than objectives of the employees. We said that the two people cooperated, their objective was to remove the stone. But
Yes.
removal of stone was none of the objectives of those two people. One person just wanted to go ahead. The other person didn't want to go ahead and didn't want to remove the stone. Okay. So what is done is, you have an organizational objective. And we said that you need to give an incentive to people so that they work for your organization. So the negotiations go on between different stakeholders like shareholders, management, employees, and society. And then organization comes up with objectives. For employees will say that, okay, you give me more. Otherwise, I will not work. I will go to your competitor. The society, through political process, will come up with a legislation whereby corporate social responsibility is an important objective of the, or obligation of the companies, so that they give in, I don't know the percentage, maybe 2.5 or 1.5% of profit are plowed back into for a social cause. So what some authorities have said, so we are just trying to understand how the objectives are designed and how they are formulated. and what is their importance. So one view is objectives are negotiated settlement among different stakeholders of the firm. And what should be objectives? I already said. For example, Syed and Mart said in the last class, I said that you produce a satisfactory result. That itself is an objective. Last year we had sales figure of 100. So this year let us have a sales figure of 110 or 150. And let us have a satisfactory performance and an objective that will be that will be considered satisfactory. So these are the different views on objectives. And the other objectives that are rules, objectives are rules that guide management to measure firm's performance. You set the goal that I will have 115 sales figure. And if this sales figure is achieved, that means all the persons of the organization or the concerned person of that organization has performed satisfactorily. So objectives are useful in measuring the firm's performance. Have I answered your question? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now we talk about the hierarchy of objectives. You know, the organization has a hierarchy. There is a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, or above him there is a board of governors, such as the chairman board of governors. Then we have CEO, there is a managing director, general manager, area manager, factory manager, HR manager, and so on and so forth. So the organization has a hierarchy. Okay? And we say that at each level of hierarchy has its own objectives. For example, the top management would say that we will be number one in energy business. Top management says that we'll be number one in energy business. And the person at the lowest level, such as the engineer at the lowest level, will have the objective that design the best solar panel and best solar its appropriate circuitry. So I will send you these papers to you. You can read them in detail also. But I'm just trying to give you a complete idea of how these So objectives at the at the topmost level will decide the strategy at the lower level. Top management has strategy, top management has objectives. And then will lead to strategy formulation at the lower level. And once they formulate the strategy, it will decide objectives for the lower level. So at at every level of the organization, we have objectives as well as strategy. So this is what happens at the organization level. Organization has hierarchy. At every level, you have objectives and as well as strategy of how to achieve the objectives. And one should ensure that objectives and strategy at one level at level, I will say level X or level A1 or level L1 must be in consonance or in tune with strategies and objectives at level L1 plus 1 and L1 minus 1, which means objectives and strategy at level 1 at any level must be in consonance with the objectives and strategy at lower level as well as at higher level. And this is referred to as grand design. So, and this itself is a very difficult job. Organizations which are very huge, for example, Indian Railways or public sectors or huge organizations like Reliance Industries or Tata Motors or even those, big companies like Apple and Matsushita and Toyota. There are huge companies. And then to achieve this, the objectives and strategy at every level must be in consonance with objectives and strategies at lower level and upper level is a very difficult job. You may find that the sales department wants to keep inventory. Sales department wants to keep inventory so that there is more customer satisfaction. So that there is more customer satisfaction, and production department follows of the rule of zero inventory. That means different departments are pursuing different objectives, and it leads to frittering away of organizational energy. and performance greatly affected. I will close this discussion and this particular hour by giving a interesting example of management by objectives. In earlier times, there was a fad which is known as MBOs. Here they said that every employee will have a card which states his objectives, what objectives he should follow, and of course, what strategy he should choose. And people have found when the business conditions change, if there are 20,000 employees, if business conditions change, objectives and strategies at top level change, and objectives and strategies at every level keeps changing. And therefore, the card which employee carries in his pocket has become redundant or irrelevant. So, in a highly uncertain environment, MBO theory fails. So what is the requirement? Requirement is the values, the shared values of top management and employees must be similar. So this is what I said. In highly uncertain environment, if the top management and the employees are on the same page, they all believe in maximizing profit. Not like the example I gave you that HLL hires a leftist employee. Then they are not sharing the similar values. There will be a lot of problems. Okay. So the values are similar, then it is easier for employer and employee to believe in what they are doing. Okay. Otherwise, if the value systems are different, one person is earning for controlling life of others. So he has a power value. Power value people will try to control others. And theoretical people are interested in the research.
So can we have a break, please?
Yeah, I'm just stopping. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. If people do not share the same values, then the people of the organizations will not be on the same page. Then as a result of which, it will lead to frittering away of organizational energy. And in highly uncertain environment, organization will be effective if top management and all the employees share similar values. Then the organization will be effective. In highly uncertain environment, management by objectives theory, which at one time was highly popular, it fails. Okay. So thank you very much, and I will stop here. And then
Thank
we
you,
meet
sir.
again after about half an hour.
Yes, sir. At 9, no?
So thank you.
9 a.m. Yeah. At
Yes,
9,
sir.
9.
9 p.m. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.